Prologue of Shadows Omitted from the Chronicles.
The War of the Ring was ended. The shadow of Sauron was lifted. The king returned to Gondor in a fragile peace, like the first frost of a hopeful winter settled over the lands of Middle-earth. In the halls of Minas Tirith, we, the victors, wrote the histories. We sang of the glory of the last alliance, the fall of Isildur, and the triumph of Aragorn, son of Arathorn. We believed the tale was fully told. Yet I have spent my long years not only in the light of the sun, but also amidst the dust of forgotten archives. And I tell you now, the greatest truths are often found in the silences between the words of great songs. History, my friends, is not merely written in ink upon vellum. It is also carved in the silent stone of ruins we choose to ignore, and whispered in the echoes of names we have deliberately erased from our memory. It is to these echoes we must now listen. We must pull back the veil on a kingdom that does not appear on any map, to confront a shadow that was not Sauron's, but one far older, and in its own way, far more insidious. This is the story of the true lingering legacy of Black Númenor. A tale not of a dark lord, but of a people who so loved the world and their own place in it, that they sought to defy the very laws of Eru Ilúvatar. It is a tale of a people who so feared the passing of things, they sought to freeze time itself. For as the professor himself wrote in a private missive, the evil of Sauron is not, of course, the only evil in the world. He spoke of the quiet, secret domination that could yet arise. It is to this subtler, more patient evil that we now listen, the evil of a memory that refused to fade, festering into a weapon.
Of the heritage of the Kingsmen.
Let us begin by unraveling a truth that has been worn smooth by time into a comforting falsehood, that the Black Númenorians had passed from the world, dwindled into nothingness, or absorbed into the lesser races of men. The annals of Gondor are clear and final on this matter. They are, I have come to believe, deliberately so. The truth is a colder and more enduring thing. In the days following the victory of the last alliance, the lords of the Black Númenorians, Heramor and Fëanor, did not fall in battle as the chronicles would have you believe. They saw the rise of the Dúnedain kingdoms of the north and south, and they perceived the inevitable, that all kingdoms of men, even the greatest, carry within them the seed of their own decay. And so they made not a last stand, but a strategic withdrawal, a conscious retreat from the pages of history itself. Heramor, a sorcerer of formidable power and unbroken lineage, gathered the last pure-blooded scions of the Kingsmen, the Arthorii, the royal scions, and led them on a long exodus far from the eyes of Gondor. Their journey took them to a hidden volcanic caldera in the southern shadows of the Ephel Duoth, a place of terrible beauty and profound darkness, where the very stone seemed to weep a black, glassy obsidian. There they did not build a city of life and song. They raised a tomb for a living culture, a monument to their own undying grievance. They called it Anarathon, the fortress of the heart, for it was here they vowed to preserve the heart of Númenor, as they understood it, forever. To comprehend their profound fall, one must look back to the greater fall of their homeland. As it is written in the Akallabeth, the king's men walked often in the dark under Sauron, and they filled the land with wickedness and with the fear of their devices. This was not merely a turn to wickedness, it was a fundamental reorientation of their being. Their arts, which we now call black magic, were not those of Sauron alone. He was but a catalyst. They drew from a deeper, more poisonous wellspring than the marred and nihilistic will of Morgoth Bauglir, who sought not to rule, but to corrupt and possess all of Arda, to make it a domain of his own static, ruined will. Their power was thus a hollow, screeching echo of the true, vibrant creation of the Ainur. And so, to protect their lamentable refuge, they wove about their realm a shroud of misdirection and forgetfulness, a veil of unremembering. It was a pale and malevolent mockery of the girdle of Melian that once protected Doriath. Where the girdle was a living wall of intent and love, an active defense born from the union of Maya and Elf, the veil was a passive corruption of perception. It was a whisper in the mind, a subtle warp in the fabric of reality that turned the eye and the heart away not by strength, but by deceit. A traveler would find himself suddenly convinced his path lay elsewhere. A sailor would see only impenetrable storms. For 3,000 years they slumbered in the womb of their own malice and pride, waiting for the world to grow weak with age.
Of the stone of the petrified heart.
And at the heart of this slumbering malice, within the central spire of the palace of eternal memory, lay the source of their enduring power. It was not a ring of power, for its nature was wholly other, its purpose contrary to the dominating impulse of Sauron. It was Garethil, the Stone of Heart. Let me be clear, it was no gem hewn from the earth, no Silmaril filled with sacred light. It was a thing wrought, a creation of immense and terrible will. Forged in deep chambers of black stone, in fires stoked not with wood, but with artifacts of lost Númenor and sacrifices of unspeakable nature. It was the physical crystallization of their collective defiance. It was born from their hatred for the gift of men, their terror of the grave, and their towering pride. In a ritual of blasphemous art that sought to mimic, in reverse, the great themes of Ilúvatar, the most powerful sorcerers among them poured the very essence of their spirits into this single, blood-dark jewel. And in their supreme arrogance, a folly that perhaps even Sauron would have deemed reckless, they did what he had not dared with his ruling ring. They anchored its power not merely to their own wills, but to the very fabric of Morgoth's taint in the world. It held not his conscious spirit, but a shard of his foundational nihilistic imperative, the desire to make all things static, possessed, and unchanging, to halt the great symphony of creation in a single discordant note. Its power was not domination, but preservation, a terrible, rigid preservation. It slowed the decay of the flesh to a near halt, granting a deathless longevity that was a mockery of the eternal life of the Eldar. But its true chilling mastery was over the spirit. It captured the soul of its bearer at the moment of their supreme resolve, be it pride, vengeance, or despair, and rendered it eternal and immutable. It was a cage of perfect, unyielding identity. There could be no growth, no wisdom, no repentance.
No new song could ever be composed, only the perfect, endless repetition of a single, fixed theme. Huramor, its master, was forever the proud lord betrayed by the Valar, forever the vengeful heir to a drowned kingdom. He and his followers were, as the lore masters would say, Firith, spirits that should have long departed but clung to the world in a state of endless, barren autumn. In this, they embodied a profound truth Tolkien once penned. Evil is vociferous. It cannot truly create, only divide, mock, and parody. Carathil was thus the ultimate parody of life itself, an existence without the hope of change or the release of death.
Of the rendering of the veil.
Then came the hour of unmaking, the moment when the symphony of the world shifted its key. In the year 3019 of the Third Age, as the One Ring, the great counterfeit of Sauron, tumbled into the cracks of doom, the intricate network of his will was unmade. A shockwave of pure negation, a silent roar of released power rippled across the hidden veins of the world. And this wave struck Carathil. The stone which had glowed with a sullen crimson light for millennia flared with a sudden agonizing white fire as if it were a star in its death throes. The delicate, deceitful tapestry of the veil of unremembering, a construct so dependent on the stable, if malevolent, state of magical power in Middle-earth, could not withstand this convulsion. It was torn asunder like rotten cloth. Where for ages there had been only barren rock, treacherous passes, and a profound sense of mental unease, there now stood starkly revealed against the southern mountains a city of black glass, its twisted towers like claws scraping at a sky it had long been denied. The first to behold this apparition were the corsairs of Umbar, hardened men who looked upon the southern horizon and felt a primal dread, for they saw the black sails of ships whose design had been lost to all but the darkest legends. The world, in its moment of hard-won victory, beheld Anarathon, and Anarathon, in its ancient petrified pride, beheld a world it deemed broken, weary, and ripe for reclaiming. The sleep was over. The long, patient war was about to begin, not with a declaration, but with a cold, calculating assessment.
Of the silent war.
They did not declare their war with trumpet calls or massed armies marching under banners. Theirs was a war of whispers, of subtle knives in the dark, a conflict designed to make the realm of King Elessar doubt its own sanity and strength. They attacked the very foundations of a peacetime society, dreams, trust, and the simple flow of goods that binds a kingdom together. Their emissaries, masters of tongue and mind, walked into the courts of the Haradrim and the chieftains of Rhûn. They did not command, they persuaded. Speaking flawless dialects dead for centuries, they wove a narrative of Gondor's deceit and Aragorn's illegitimacy. He is a ranger of the north, a wanderer who knows nothing of the true glory of Númenor. We are your true lords returned from beyond time. Join us, and the southern kingdoms will rise again, with you as our favored princes. It was a poison, tailor-made for each ear, and it found ready purchase in hearts that still held bitterness from long centuries of conflict. But when steel was at last bared, it was a sight to chill the blood of the most hardened warrior, a horror different from the savage fury of orcs or the wild courage of the Haragrim. Consider the skirmish in the Scorpion's Pass, a tale now sung in hushed tones in the halls of Edoras. A company of the Rohirrim, grim-faced veterans who had stood firm upon the Pelennor fields, was lured into a narrow, sun-scorched defile. They expected the wild, chaotic onslaught of orcs or the fierce, shouted charge of the Southrons. They encountered instead a phalanx of silence. The black Númenorians stood in grim, ordered ranks, their armor of black steel unadorned by any heraldry, their faces hidden behind impassive, full-faced helms that betrayed no emotion. They did not cry out in battle rage or issue challenges. They advanced and fought in a terrible, disciplined quiet, broken only by the ring of steel and the gasps of the wounded. A burly voice of a Rohirrim captain, strained, breathless, whispering as if afraid to be heard. By the horse and the hammer, they do not break, they do not yield, they do not cry out. It is like fighting statues made of iron. They feel no fear. Their long, dark-forged blades did not slash. They thrust with cold, mechanical precision, seeking the weak points in armor at the neck and under the arm. And in their offhands they wielded daggers of the same black glass as their city, enchanted with a spell of petrification whose touch did not kill, but locked the victim's limbs in place, leaving the mind fully aware but the body utterly paralyzed, a prisoner within itself, left to the mercies of the relentless desert sun. Their commander observed the entire slaughter from a high rock, motionless, his will directing his warriors as a single, terrible, unified entity. This was not battle rage. It was systematic extermination, cold and calculated. It was a horror that broke the spirit as surely as the body, leaving survivors not with tales of glorious death, but with a deep psychological scar of having fought something fundamentally wrong.
Of the final reckoning.
Aragorn, the King Elisar, was thus faced with an enemy that could not be defeated by strength of arms alone. How does one conquer an idea? How does one defeat a memory that has taken solid, armed form? He saw that a direct assault on Anarathon would be a folly akin to attacking a mountain. It would bleed his kingdom dry for no gain, for the very land defended them. The conflict demanded a resolution not of force, but of spirit. A parley was called, not in a comfortable hall, but in the symbolic shadow of the recent war at the very gates of the Black Land, the Morannon. There, amidst the scorched earth, the King of the West met the emissary of the static past, Valandil, a lord of Anarathon whose face was a mask of ageless, cold perfection. Behold us, Elisar! You sit upon a throne of borrowed time, ruling over a kingdom built upon the forgetfulness of your own people. You speak of reunification, but you have merely gathered the scattered leaves of a dying tree. We are the root and the trunk. We are the unyielding memory of Númenor. We have not faded. We have not changed. We offer you a choice, scion of the faithful. Submit and be granted the perfection of our constancy, a place in the eternal. or be swept aside with the rest of the dust of this transitory age. Aragorn, I see no perfection before me, Valandil. I see only a gallery of statues, each trapped in a single bitter moment of time, mistaking stillness for strength. Heramor did not grant you immortality. He has robbed you of life's very essence. For life is change and growth and the grace to forgive. It is the courage to let the past be past and to build a new morning, though we know in our hearts it will one day see an evening. What you offer is not a kingdom. It is a mausoleum, and you have been its first and most loyal inhabitants for 3 long, empty ages. You speak of mornings and evenings, the fleeting concerns of gnats. We have risen above the cycle of decay. We have built eternity. And eternity built upon the fear of an ending is the most exquisite prison ever devised. And I will not permit you to raise its walls around my people, or to chain their hearts to your dead stone. Aragorn, possessing the insight of the Dunedain and the wisdom of the elves, perceived the fatal flaw in their design. To destroy Anarathon with force would be to unleash the concentrated malice and despair stored within it, a wave of spiritual corruption that could blight the South for generations. It would also make the stone a martyr, a symbol around which their legend could grow even in defeat. His victory had to be one of reclamation, not destruction. He therefore enacted a subtler, more profound stratagem. Drawing upon his inherent authority as the heir of Elendil, the grace that flowed through the line of Luthien, and most crucially, the united, hopeful will of the free peoples he embodied, he performed a great ritual of warding. He did not seek to banish the remnants of the veil of unremembering. He reforged it. He swore a mighty oath, not in the name of power, but in the name of Eru Ilúvatar himself, that for so long as the line of Elendil should endure and rule in Gondor, their royal will would sustain and command this barrier. He transformed it from a web of deceit and fear into the king's ward, an active, conscious shield upheld not by dark magic, but by the hereditary duty and sacrifice of the House of Tel-Contar. Anarathon was sealed away, not in its own arrogant dream, but within a prison of its enemies' resolve and commitment to the future. The future kings of Gondor would henceforth bear the secret, solemn burden of its watch, a victory won not by the sword's edge, but by the weight of the crown and the eternal vigilance of hope over despair.
Of the gift and the shadow.
And so the tale finds its quietus, not with a cataclysm, but with a solemn vow. Anarathon endures, frozen not in its own dream, but in the world's steadfast refusal to be held captive by its past. Aragorn prevailed not with the sword, but by offering a future, and accepting the profound, unending burden of safeguarding it. He understood that some evils cannot be slain, only contained, and that the highest form of victory is often a perpetual, watchful peace. For, as the Lord tells us, the doom of men, which they call the gift of Ilúvatar, was never a curse, but a release into a mystery beyond the circles of the world. It is a truth the black Númenorians, in their towering pride and love of the world, could never comprehend. They sought the immortality of the elves, but achieved only the permanence of a tomb. And so their shadow lingers, not as a foe to be fought with armies, but as a temptation to be resisted in every age. The temptation of certainty over hope,
of stasis over growth, of the known past over the uncertain future. The War of the Ring was concluded, the great shadow of Sauron defeated. But the war for the heart of mortal man, the struggle to accept the gift with courage and to build meaning within the confines of time, that war is without end. Remember, my friends, as you close this book, that in the deepest, dustiest archives of Minas Tirith, even the silences have a story to tell. The most perilous shadows of all are not those that lurk in forgotten kingdoms, but those we permit to dwell within our own hearts, whispering that we can and should last forever.
And so another page of the secret chronicle is turned. But before I return to the dust of the archives, I wish to extend my deepest gratitude to you, my listeners. Your attention is the light by which these forgotten tales are once more read. I now turn the quill over to you. What are your thoughts on this hidden history? Share your reflections in the comments below. I am keen to read them. If this journey into the shadows has intrigued you, please lend your support to this archive. A subscription and a like upon the chapter would light the way for future discoveries. Until we meet again, I remain your humble chronicler. I invite you to join me for the next tale from the archives. Farewell for now.